All right. What is up, everybody? We're doing a remote podcast today. It is episode 327. I'm here with Wingo Lam. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for having me here today.
It's my pleasure. I was just telling you before we went live, when I saw your video, I thought, damn, that's such a crazy video. It's so good. Congrats. That thing blew up, right? So cool. And the storytelling that you did with it was amazing. You started with, how sad, how tough it was, how sad it was. And then you totally nailed the music, right? The music pops. And then all of a sudden, you're like hang gliding and you're doing all this crazy stuff. And it's so cool, man. I think congrats on that, and congrats on everything, brother.
Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. I mean, it was so to tell you guys about me.
Yes,
my name's Wingo, and I went viral because of documenting my life coming to America alone when I was 12, and now I'm 24. And so it was basically like how when I first moved here by myself, everything was tough, where I had to adapt to a new environment where I also didn't speak English at all as well at that time. So it was extremely difficult to learn a new language in a new place. And I'll say after around 4 or 5 years, things did get better. And as it got better, I made more friends, and then started going to different activities as well. And now I'm working here. Yeah.
Okay. And so, man, I have so many questions. It's just gonna be tough to. So yeah, I mean, let's go a little bit back, right? A little bit further back, and say, okay, you left Hong Kong, right, when you were 12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe we can go a little bit back in time and see, like, how did that idea come up, and maybe how were you feeling about that as a 12-year-old, thinking, shoot, I'm going to the States? Let's start from the beginning if we can.
Sure. So it wasn't my decision to come to the States alone, or to even move to the States. It was my parents' decision. And I'll say the main reason why they made this choice was because, first of all, I was a pretty bad student when I was in Hong Kong, always disobeying my parents, and also had really bad grades, failing all the classes I had. So,
Okay.
so at that time I was hanging out with some students that weren't doing great as well. So you call them bad influence, and
Gotcha.
and yeah. So that's the main reason why they were I have to cut you off from them, and then that's why they sent me to the States. Yeah.
That's the Bruce Lee story right there, man. I love that. That's so cool. That's really cool. Yeah. It's funny because when we talk about bad students or whatever, in Canada, I also was not a great student, right? But when you come here, it's to Asia, everybody's the school system it's really tough, right? And people are in school from the morning to the evening, and people coming home from school at 9 p.m. and it's crazy. So it's a tough system, and I think that people outside of Asia, they don't really realize how crazy the school system can get here. I mean, I remember my first year in Taiwan, I think I was 23, and we'd go out for a drink or something at 7 or 8 p.m. and kids are still coming back from, schools and stuff like that. It's crazy. So to say you're a bad student, that's tough. That's a tough one to believe.
No, 100%. And also the education system, I feel in most countries in Asia, they're pretty much the same, where you go to school, and after school you have some extracurricular required by school, and after that you have some more tutoring, and by the time you get home, it's around 9-10 p.m.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. For sure Taiwan is like that. I think China, I guess Hong Kong too. I think Japan, 100%. Korea, right? It's kind of tough. I also have a daughter here as well, and where she's kind of she's 13, so she's in junior high, so we're kind of going through a different situation similar situation where we're kind of looking at, we just started a hybrid thing where she kind of goes to school for certain subjects, and then she does certain subjects on her own with me. So it's also tough because it takes up a lot of my time, but it's crazy because it's a long day for kids, man. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Beautiful, man. So let's talk more about your story. So that idea, okay, the student thing, your mom's all right, I'm going to send you to the States. So why the States? Did you guys have some connection to the US, or what was the idea, if you don't mind?
So at first they were choosing between the popular places like Australia,
Yeah.
the UK, or like New Zealand and the States. And we were pretty much set to sending me to Australia because at that time my parents' understanding of like the UK system is pretty much strict. Like you get sent to a boarding school, and they have a very strict system where my mom was like, if I go there, I won't survive because they're too strict. And that's
Gotcha.
because it's the exact opposite of who I was. But she didn't want to be too cruel on me, so that's why she was like, okay, let me send you to another place. And she was asking me about like I believe before she sent me over, she was asking me like the weather stuff, like what type of weather I like. I was like, I like a place where it's always sunny because
Yeah.
I hated how humid it was in Hong Kong,
Okay.
and also how it was raining a lot during summer. I was like, I prefer a place where it's sunny all the time, basically.
Yeah.
And this is also like, and also like America is also known to be like a place where you can explore your creativity, or like a place where you could like learn about yourself, like the American dream too. Like all
American
these
dream.
like, ideas were portrayed in front of my parents and me, and that's the reason why they sent me here.
Beautiful, man. Okay. The American dream, people, that's a slogan, right? And yeah, so far we'll talk about how that's going a little bit later. But I think, okay, so you're 12, you're loading up, you're packing up your stuff. How's that vibe? Like, you're like, okay, we're going to the airport. Mom and dad are taking us to the airport. Tell me a little bit about that, because that must have been crazy, no?
It was.
Yeah.
But I wasn't too sad about it first because a month before I was sent to the States, my grades for my seventh grade, like the transcript came out.
Yeah.
And I failed all my classes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
my dad didn't talk to me for a few days.
Oh shoot.
So
Okay.
I was almost sad about, like, I wasn't sad. I was like scared about that more than like going to America, because at that time I was like, okay, if I could go to America, perhaps like I could like avoid or like escape from this. But of course, like I would say I was more excited than sad at that time because it was a new environment, new change, and I think I was too young to be scared or sad. Yeah, at that
Okay.
time when I like before flying over. Yeah.
Okay. That's so cool. I can't even imagine that. That's yeah, not being scared. That's pretty crazy. So LA, right? You're landing in LA. It's very
Yeah.
different, right? Obviously, one of the cool things, likely there's lots of Asians, right?
Mhm.
Chinese, Taiwanese, Korean,
lot,
South Korean, everywhere, right? Because I've been there
Way
a
more
couple.
Asians here than others.
Yeah, that's funny, right? Like, so when I think of like the heavily populated Asian cities, I think LA and Vancouver, right? Like I'm from Canada, so whenever we would go to Vancouver, it's super Asian town. So my wife loves it when we go back there. It's awesome. So you're landing in LA, right? The first time I went to LA, you know, Spanish everywhere. My family's Mexican, and I just kind of was like, whoa, this is very unique for me because where I live in Canada, there were no Mexicans, and you didn't hear Spanish that much. And so when we landed in LA and everybody was speaking Spanish, I thought, wow, this is great. So I really liked it. So tell me about your first feeling about you landing in LA as a kid. You're alone, I think, right? 12
Right.
years old. Did somebody pick you up? Tell me that whole story.
So when I landed, and I'll say I was shocked too, even when we were
Sure.
about to land. I was just looking out the window. I was like, what is this view? Like, it was so
Yeah.
different than what I was expecting. Like, it was because it's just like what you get like shocked by like when you see something that you haven't
course.
seen before.
Of
Yeah. And then
course.
when
Yeah.
I get off the flight too, I was going across like the immigration, like the customs, and the officer looked like very tough as well. So
Yeah.
that scared me a
Scary.
bit.
Sure.
Yeah. And then after that, when I was waiting for, because I also live with like a host family, which is like
Okay.
kind of like host families are like homestays where you stay in their house. Like they're kind of treating you like their kids. They send you to school. They feed you and so on. They
Gotcha.
basically they take care of you. So my host family show up to pick me up,
That's
and
cool.
yeah, I was at that point I was still excited, but I started to get a little lonely.
Of course.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, okay, God, this is real. Like this at this moment, it's real. I'm in the States. I'm 12 years old, and I have to live in this place for a long time. And at first, my parents told me like, if I end up don't liking this place, I could always go back to Hong Kong Hong Kong after 1 year.
Yeah.
And so that was like the mindset that I had to. I was like, okay, let me try to adapt here. And then and yeah, I mean, it was a lot of effort because I didn't really speak English at that time.
Gotcha.
And, yeah.
Cool. So you're learning the language. You're in a new place. You're in a new house, right? With a new family, probably different food, I would guess, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an Asian family or not, but probably
It was
different
his
food.
family.
Oh, perfect. So you're getting Mexican food, right? So how's that? How's the food? Yeah.
Okay. I remember my first meal was, I forgot what it was, but like the side dish was like beans. And
Beans. Yeah.
I'm not a big person for beans. Like I'm the type of person who, when I go to like Mexican restaurants, I never get beans. I get everything but beans.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love Mexican food, but I just don't like
Sure.
beans. So
It's
so
actually
like,
it's funny, man, because I mean, I have a Mexican restaurant in Taiwan, in Taipei, right? And beans are like a staple for Mexican food, right? But
Mhm.
definitely we always try to, like, first timers, Taiwanese and stuff like that. We also are like, get the fish tacos, try enchiladas, stuff like that, because we also know through experience, if someone gets like a bean and cheese burrito on their first time, 50-50, or they're probably not going to like it, so same thing when I came to Taiwan and I went out for like the shaved ice, right? First time, just got here, topping, right? And I'm going out for some of that, and they're like, oh, pick your toppings. And I go pick I'm like, I'll have a strawberry and mango, some kiwi. And then my Taiwanese friends are like, oh, I'll have a green beans and red beans, and all these beans on their ice cream, right? And
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? This is crazy,
Right.
So tell me about your bean experience, man. That's crazy. That's so funny.
So yeah, I remember it was just like the first meal they were serving me beans, but at that time I didn't have a choice. I didn't I
Yeah.
had no option. So all I could do was just like to eat it. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, cool. Hopefully like the next day after it wouldn't be beans. And then gradually it was just I stayed there for a year, and it was full of like, it was only Mexican food, and
That's
but
awesome.
it was hard in the beginning, but I would
Sure.
say I lived there more. I got used to it, and also school's lunch was really bad. That's why
Oh, I'm
like the
sure.
only thing I looked for was going home and eat.
That's so funny. So tell me about, like, so you're 12, you're born and raised in Hong Kong, and the
Mhm.
school system is obviously the way that we know it is in Asia, right? And so you go from here. Well, I'm here. So from here to LA, right? And your first week of school, like, how was that? Like, I know that some of my friends, when they move back and they take their kids from here that are kind of like, let's say, math class or like mid-level or low level or even failing, and then they take them to the US or Canada, and they're like the star student in math. So tell me about like the first week of your experience in the States.
Yeah. So for first week, definitely overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Because I've never seen, because like it was just weird how in the morning I used to go to like a Christian school, so in the morning
Got
we
it.
always like stand in the like, we call it playground, and then like
Yeah.
we just pray with like a person with a person like that's in front of us. But then here it's really chill. Like you just get to class. That's it in the morning. You don't group up in the playground. Yeah, and so we have class, and honestly, first week was very difficult because I didn't understand what my teacher was saying, and
Sure.
I also took an entrance exam where my English was so bad I had to repeat seventh grade twice.
Okay.
Seventh grade, the second yeah. So I graduated junior high, which is like sixth grade in Hong Kong,
Okay.
and then when I came here, I had to do seventh grade the second time because I already completed 1 year, and It was hard to take because I was like, oh God, doesn't mean I have to stay here for 2 years to go back because my mom promised me for 1 year. So that's
Yeah.
like the kind of mindset I was going on, and yeah, it's like a moment of reality hit.
That's wow. Sorry, we just got a delivery guy looking for someone. Okay, I got someone in the kitchen to sign that. All right, cool. Yes, yes. So switch back here. Yeah. So like, were there any classes where you're like, oh, this is? I mean, obviously you were still learning the language, right? Were there any
Mhm.
classes like I'm thinking math, like for example, that you looked at and you were like, oh, this is easy. You know, like for
Yeah.
me, when I came here, again, my first few years, I taught English. And when I was teaching elementary, you know, they always have so much homework, right? So, you know, I'm like, it's break time. And they take out their books and they're like, oh my God, they're writing their homework, right? And I'm like, what's going on, kid? And they're just like, oh man, teacher, can you help me with this homework? And I'm like, of course. And I would go over and I would look at their math, like grade 5 math, grade 6, and I'm an adult, right? And I'm looking at that like, holy crap. I'm like, no, I can't help you, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So for you, like, were there any things where you're like, oh my gosh, this is easy?
Yeah, math was definitely easy. Like it
Yeah.
was for 7th grade math, it felt like it was 3rd grade.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
least that's
That
the
sounds right.
difference. And also, I would say my experience for the first few years, they're very different from most other international students because I went to I went to an international school in the
Okay.
States. So it's like an ESL program where
Gotcha.
you only stay with the other international kids. And in my school, in my class, 80% were all Chinese.
Okay.
So
Oh.
at some point, I felt like I was studying in China. It's just the environment is different because everyone was speaking Chinese. Like,
Oh, wow. Okay.
if not last time, everyone's speaking Chinese. So my first year, I barely used English.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
That was like a tough part, but everything changed second year, and that's because I had like a mindset shift. I thought about like, so when I went back first year, I talked to my parents, and they were asking me like, did I like that place? I was like, it's all right. I mean, I think I can stay for 1 more year, and they were like, cool, let's do that then. And then when I went back, I was still hanging out with the same group of Chinese kids, and I I just one day I was like, start to think about what I'm gonna do. Like
Yeah.
if like what if I just keep hanging out with them? I'm not gonna learn any English, which is the hope. Like I wouldn't say that's like the only purpose for my parents to send me here. They definitely wanted me to have great education, but besides that, they want me to change. So I
Sure.
was like, the only way for me to change is one, start with the basics, start using English in class, or start making friends who speak English. So for my second year, I pretty much dropped my friends, like the Chinese friends, and started hanging out with like a Korean guy who's now like my best friend.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, we both were hanging out every single day, and then both our English improved, and things changed. And then third year, I was in domestic program, and yeah.
That's crazy, man. So when you say the first year was all like Chinese friends, were they like Hong Kong or China or Taiwan, just like kind of everywhere?
Oh, here's the craziest thing.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about that. I'm curious.
Most of them, I'll say 90% of them were like Chinese. Only like only one Taiwanese,
Okay.
and there wasn't anyone from Hong Kong.
Okay.
So when I went there too, my Mandarin wasn't that good. But after first year, man, it improved so much that my parents thought they sent me to China instead, like mainland China.
I was gonna say because obviously in Hong Kong they speak Cantonese, right?
Right, right.
So I think now the Mandarin is getting better, but I think
Mhm.
maybe that how long ago did that, like 12 years ago or something, right?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
So that maybe okay, so it's still mostly Cantonese. Oh, that's interesting. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. So let's talk about obviously, you know, you're there, you're gonna stay, and even like me as an adult, when I came here, I also get homesick, right? Like I would miss my family, and families are pretty tight. Mexican families are really tight. So I would miss my family, and I would go through kind of like spells of being bummed out and a bit depressed, right? So did you ever go through anything like that?
Mm, I'll say for the first 4 years, 5 years,
Yeah.
I was excited that
Okay.
I could be away from my parents. and I could live by myself. But I know that like deep down, I would miss them. Such as like every time I have my birthday, my birthday is always the first day of school. That's
Okay.
how. So like every time it's my birthday, of course I gotta like fly back here beforehand, right? So I usually fly back like 2-3 days before my birthday, and I celebrate it here. But I wouldn't celebrate with people. Like I wouldn't celebrate too because I didn't have that many friends at that time, and
Got it.
even if I had friends, like it's just something that I didn't do, and so that's something that I regretted, was like not being able to celebrate my birthday with my family.
Yeah.
And also for Chinese New Year too.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go back during Chinese New Year, and for the past 12 years, the only time that I got to go back was during COVID.
Okay.
So that's something I miss a lot, because Chinese New Year is huge, and
Yeah.
family, like as relatives, we always meet up. This is like the time for all the cousins, all the relatives to catch up,
Yeah.
update on each other, and yeah.
That's awesome, man. I think also I can, again, I live in Taiwan, and so yeah, Chinese New Year is really busy, and it's a good time, and the family gets together and eats, and there's the big round table stuff, right? So it's really cool vibes. I actually know how you're feeling, because for me it's almost like the opposite. We're Mexicans, Canadians, North Americans, Christmas is huge, right? And Christmas is kind of like Chinese New Year, where everybody comes and everything's kind of closed, and they have the dinner and stuff like that. So for me as a Mexican, we would do like one day would be the Mexican and Canadian. With the first day would be like turkey, mashed potatoes and all that stuff. And then the second day would be tamales, so it's a crazy cooking. So we'd have 2 days of just eating turkey and then tamales, and just every needless to say, every time I go back to Canada, which is rare, I go back and I go for about a month, and I get like really really fat, because it's crazy. And the funny thing is, living in Asia, you come here, and as soon as you get like fat, everybody just looks at you like, you got fat, man, what's going on? It's so funny. The fat shaming is awesome. It's so funny.
Fashion is crazy.
It's crazy. They're like, oh, ni bien pang, and they're just like, oh, they touch your face. You're like, what's this? It's so funny.
Yeah, like the fat standard is way different, like here and like in the States or Canada versus like Asia. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's so funny though. Yeah, man. So okay, so now you're in the States, right? You have, you were kind of, you had your excitement, and then you kind of had like the downward slope where you're sad, you're missing the family. And then you decided, what was the decision where you're like, I got to make this work? Like when did something click in your mind?
So throughout my junior high school, even though my English improved a lot, I was still pretty much not an A student, because you hear a lot of stories about international students, how like they always like get like good grades, or like they transfer, like, or like they get into a great school, top 10, top 20 world. And for me, it wasn't the case, because I still didn't care a lot about schoolwork.
Yeah.
All I did was like pretty much hang out with friends. And the reality hit was when I got my SAT score. So it's like in college exam. Yeah.
I know about that.
I got 1120 out of 1600, which is really low. And the average for my school was 1400. So I was like, that's bad. And still, I still didn't work hard. And then I went ahead to take my second test. It was pretty bad too. I ended up sleeping through the SAT test too. So it was just really bad, until a point where my college decision came out, and I got into a decent school, I would say, but it's definitely not like an Asian, like what most Asian parents would expect you to go to after like spending that much money on me, after like having me here for like 6-7 years, and yeah. So, and at that time it was COVID.
Yeah.
To go back to Hong Kong, and that's got me thinking, like, what should I do? Like, okay, right now I'm in Hong Kong. It's during COVID. Should I just stay in Hong Kong? Should I just give up on college, because I didn't get into a good college anyways? And I stumbled upon like a classmate not a classmate, but like a friend of mine who was already in college, and then he did like a college transfer thing where he transferred from community college to a UCLA, which is a really notable school. And I was like, okay, I think this is my second chance. Like, I don't know if I could do it, but this is my second chance.
Gotcha.
I even like went into an sorry to cut you off, but I even went into an argument with my dad because he wanted me to just go to the decent school that I got into. And I told him no, because I could get into a better school. But from his perspective, it's like he knows me too well that he knows that in his mind, he was like, I'm not going to get anywhere. I'm not going to get anywhere better. So, yeah, and he didn't want me to lose that stability as well. So at that point, I just really wanted to prove him and my mom. And I went to the community college route, which later got into UC Berkeley.
That's amazing. So for you, obviously, so your dad's like, oh man, this is my son. He's not gonna just go to like the one you got into, get that done. And you are like, no, I can do better, right? So there must have been some kind of mindset shift in you, right? Where you're like, no, I'm gonna put my foot down. I'm gonna make this work, right? So maybe tell me a little bit about that before we move forward, because you obviously were like, no, I'm going to what I want to do. I want to take that shot.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. That's huge. Yeah.
So when my college decision came out, I told them they were pretty happy, honestly, because it was a U.S. top 50 school. But it's not, like I said, it's not a school that you would expect for an international student to get into. And found the routes transferring. Talked to my dad. I FaceTime called him and I was like, Dad, I think I need to go to the community college to transfer to a better school, because this is my second chance, and it could be my huge turning point too if I do end up transferring into a better school. And he asked me one question. He's like, is it guaranteed that you would, even if you don't transfer into a better school, you could still at least get back into that school? And honestly, in my mind, I was like, there's no such thing as like guarantee or promise, because I'm not gonna know. I'm not gonna know if I get into it. I just lied to him because he didn't know much about like the U.S. college system. I was like, Dad, guarantee you at least I'll get back into the same level of school or the same school. I could guarantee you on that. And then he was like, okay, cool. I go do your own thing then. So that was like a fake promise that I had to make to convince my dad. Yeah.
That's amazing. Actually, we actually, I know, we're not supposed to lie, right, to our parents, right? But I think sometimes a little white lie like that will keep you kind of on that path. We've all done it. Like I've been, like I said, I've been in Taiwan for a long time, and yeah, my parents would always ask me stuff like, hey, are you okay? Do you need money? How's the restaurant? When we're starting, and I was like super broke, and it was just like, oh my God, this is so hard. And, they'd call you, be like, you okay? You need money? You need something? Do you want to come home? And I'm just like, no, we're good. Everything's good. But meanwhile, you're like, oh my God, I got to borrow money to pay friggin', the rent for the restaurant, because it's crazy. Yeah. So I think that builds character, man. I think that's really cool. And obviously now it worked. Right now you're out there. You've been there for, you said, how old did you say you were again? Sorry, 24?
Yeah, 12. I came here when I was 12, and now I'm 24.
So now you've done half your life there, which is crazy, right? So from 0 to 12, Hong Kong, and then 12 to 24 in LA, right? In the States.
Yeah.
Keep going with your story, man. So you did your school, right? You got in, you did the community college thing, and you bounced onto a better school, right?
Right.
Tell me about that. That's amazing, man. That's huge.
So, my college experience, I wouldn't say it's anything that's special. It's just pretty standard, where because my purpose was just to get a degree. That was it. But it has to come from a great school where I could easily find a job in the States. Because for international students, if you want to stay in the States, you have to find a company that's willing to sponsor you. And
that's similar to here. Yeah.
Right. So after they're willing to sponsor, you have to enter a lottery, H-1B. Like the H-1B visa, where it's like 1 out of 5, sometimes 1 out of 6. It really depends on the percentage. But then you enter a lottery to see if you can stay here. So Yeah, but that's too much in detail. Basically, that's like the generic process of like if you're an international student and you want to stay here after you graduate. And so at that time, I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I get a good GPA and get my degree. And I think it was first year, I already knew that I wanted to graduate fast. I wanted to make money. I wanted to pay my parents back.
Yeah.
So what I did was I took 2 years in community college, and in Berkeley, I finished my courses in a year and a half. So I finished one semester earlier, and then and it was crazy how when I graduated, I still didn't have a job offer because I didn't have much experiences. I did have some work experiences, but it was like in Hong Kong, like an internship experience. And I was struggling really hard. And my parents came to my graduation, and they were asking me if I was going to go back with them because I didn't have a job offer line. So, and I was like, and again, another reality hit. I was like, okay, what do I have to do to change? What do I have to do to get out of my current situation? Simple enough. It's just to get a job that's willing to sponsor me. So throughout the time my parents were in the States, I locked myself in a room 10 hours a day to just keep applying for jobs. I think I was sending out like 500. Like I sent out 500 to 700 job applications in like a month or two. And that's something that I felt bad too, because the time that they were there, of course, we went on trips, we went to different places, but definitely didn't show like 100% of me, like being with them. And also
you were locked in though, right? You're like, I have to make this happen. Yeah. Okay.
But like I felt bad because it was my dad's first time going to the States.
Yeah.
But all turned out well because after all those applications, I found an employer who was willing to sponsor for my work visa and a green card. Yeah.
That's awesome. Did your parents get to try the Mexican beans?
my dad did, and he loved it.
Oh, really? There you go, 50-50, like I said, right?
Because he likes the English style of like beans where
English breakfast, yeah.
Right, he loves beans, and specifically like
that's so funny. What about mom? She didn't like it. She's like, no.
Yeah, she's
there you go, 50-50.
It's too Asian.
That's so funny, man. That's funny. Yeah, it's funny because every country is like that, right? Like, so for example, I've met many Mexicans, not many, but a handful that would, they were going to marry a Taiwanese person. So when they come to Taiwan to meet the family, the Mexican family comes, big family, and I always know when that's happening because they come here to eat, right? They come here to eat, they buy tortillas, and they take all this food home. And I'm like, how long are you guys here? And they're just like, we're here for like a week. And I'm like, man, you should go to, Din Tai Fung, you should go try. And I'm like, you should try all these places. It's so good. And then Mexicans, it's similar because they're like, nah, man, I don't want to eat that stuff, man. Just, I'll just give me, a couple dozen tortillas and I'm fine, And I'm like, but you got to try. You're here, right? And they're just like, nah, I tried it. I didn't like it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're staying true to their like their own countries. Like
Mexicans, they're coming here to eat, and they're cooking, they're eating, and then when they go, like I said, they order a couple dozen tortillas to go, and they're there baking the tortillas, probably in the hotel. You're just like it's making that eggs and quesadillas and stuff for breakfast. It's crazy, man. It's so funny. Every country's like that, man. Yeah. So now let me tell you, so now I just said half, right? 12 years Hong Kong, 12 years US. So how do you feel about like yourself, like as your identity, right? So like now, for example, myself, my parents are Mexican. I was the first one born in Canada. So like I'm a Mexican Canadian, but now I've also been half my life in Taiwan. And so I kind of consider myself, I'm not, when I'm outside, people don't say, oh, he's Taiwanese, but I also consider myself Taiwanese. I know the culture really well, can speak the language. So yeah, actually now when I go from Taiwan back to Canada, I feel also like a reverse culture shock because here, you don't need a car. You pay your phone bill, your water bill, your everything, your parking ticket at 7-Eleven, and you can get a coffee, and you can get like a fan tuan. You can get everything all done. It's so convenient. Now when I go back to Canada, I think, oh my God, man, you got to drive 30 minutes here. You got to drive 40 minutes there. So inconvenient. So I feel like more at home here. right? Because I did like half my life there, half my life here. So what about you, man? So tell me what do you feel about like identity wise now that you're like half your life there, half your life here?
Yeah, so identity wise, yeah, to specify, like, is for my first 9 years, I was
Yeah.
in Hong Kong, but then
Yeah.
I think it was 7, 8 years. But then after that, I stayed a couple of years in Macau. So so it's right
Okay.
next to Hong Kong. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it. Yeah.
And after Macau, I came to the States, and at first I was confused too. I was like,
Yeah.
so what is going on? And as years gone by, like 5, 6 years, I was still confused. I was like, okay, which place do I call home?
Yeah.
That's the main problem for me. I was like, so do I call this place home? Do I call Hong Kong home? Or so what's going on? And I'll say right now, it's been 12 years. I have pretty much figured out, like, I don't have to find, or I don't have to like identify just one home. Like,
Love it.
I have a home here, like in the States. I like Hong Kong too. Like, it doesn't have to be just one. I don't have to limit myself like that.
I love
And
it. Uh-huh.
I'll say in terms of like Hong Kong and States, I mean, I love going back to Hong Kong, but deep down, I know that I love staying in the States. Like,
Okay.
the culture, everything's great. But like, ironically, I also know I'm not American. Meaning, I feel like even though I get my citizenship, even though I get my green card, I still won't feel like I'm American because of how I grew up in Hong Kong. I came here when I was 12. It's just very different still. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I 100% like for me too. I have like kind of like a Taiwan ID, but it's like for foreigners where you have a permanent resident basically. If I really want to get my actual Taiwan ID, I need to give up my Canadian citizenship, which I'm not going to do that, right? So
Yeah.
it doesn't really make sense to me. So for me, I probably will never get that unless they change the laws. Who knows? But I've already gave up on that. That's another story.
You don't allow dual citizenship?
Yeah. So Canada, yes.
Uh-huh.
And like, for example, my daughter, obviously she's half me, half my Taiwanese wife. So she has both. So she's got Canadian citizenship, Canadian passport, and Taiwanese citizenship, Taiwanese passport. But for me, not being born here, yeah, I also cannot. So it's kind of crazy, right? How that stuff works. But so I want to ask you another question. If you were like now, you're 24, 24-year-old Wingo Lam was to go back in time and talk to 12-year-old Wingo Lam just about to board that plane, what would you tell him?
I would say, don't be scared and enjoy the time, or enjoy like every single moment. Don't overthink too much, because it always turns out it always turns out well at the end. Everything does. Yeah. It always works out at the end. This is something I believe. It doesn't matter where you start, where you are, always works out at the end. So don't worry too much. Just enjoy.
I love that. And so now I got one more question for you before we do some like fun rapid fire. How are your parents feeling about the whole thing? So, you've been gone for 12 years, right? So they obviously miss you, but how are they feeling now about this whole situation?
So now they're very glad, because
Mm-hmm.
I was able to stay here, find a company that's willing to sponsor me, green card, everything that an international student would dream of. And also for my some like background story too. My mom also had like a similar experience when she was 14, where she came from
Oh,
a village and from like the rural part of China, like mainland China.
wow.
And she, like, her background, like her family was really poor at that time, where she had to go to a different city to explore, to like make money and send it back to the family. And she
Yeah.
was the only one from her family that's doing that, and considering the fact that she was the youngest one. So yeah, her experience for that, and also like how she fought her way, and then she bought herself her own house when she's early 20s. It's just like, I think it was her story, and also like my mom as a very independent woman at that time,
Yeah, sure. That takes a lot of strength.
gave her the courage, and also strength to also send me to America, and she believed in me. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. Wow. Oh my gosh. I didn't know that. That's a whole other podcast right there. Shoot, talking about that. That's beautiful. Do you have anything you want to add before I want to jump into something fun here? Cause yeah. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. Since you asked about like how my parents felt about sending me here, something I would like to add is like when my mom first sent me here, or when my parents first sent me here, everyone around her went against her, meaning her friends,
Okay.
my grandma, our relatives. Like we're very close with like our relatives, like my aunts, like my dad's side, like because we see each other every single week. So they were against her decision because it was my mom's decision to send me here. And but I would say she believed in herself, she believed in me, and I think that's very important for anyone out there. If you're doing something that no one believes in you or no one trusts you, you know, you gotta ignore all those noises. You just gotta believe in yourself. And she did that when she was 14. She did the same thing for me too. And yeah,
that's gonna happen regardless of wherever you are in the world, right? There's always gonna be somebody that says don't do that, you know. And it's surprising, you know, because for me, I know that I mean, again, for example, in Taiwan, my daughter goes to, you know, to the public school here, and so we're trying some different things this year, but everybody's like, oh, just send her away, just send her here, just send her there. And I'm like, it's like the opposite. They're like, just get rid of her, send her over there. And I'm like, oh, it's so scary to send my kids somewhere, you know? So yeah, so wow, it's a very hard thing to do. So that's amazing. Amazing mom, dude. Well, and your dad was just like, whatever mom says is good, or what did your dad think?
he was going with her idea. Yeah, he was supporting my dad was supporting my mom. Like, no, honestly, at first my dad didn't want me to leave too. He thinks that it's too dangerous. And at first I was supposed to go to Sydney. And then my mom was like, America. And they had to fight too about like sending me to America. Like my dad was like, oh, there are too many gunshots, like gun fights over there. Like, why are you sending our son there? And then
gonna get shot.
Right. And, but my mom insisted. And I mean, right now, our relatives, all her friends, they understand the reason why she did it, and some of them envy her for doing that. But I'll say it all turns out well. So yeah,
that's beautiful, man. I think I mean, because like the news everywhere, they always show the worst part, right? Like in Taiwan, if there's a typhoon, they show like they'll go to like the very, very worst corner of a road where it's like flooding or something, and then they'll like record that. And then my mom will be like, oh my God, you guys are flooding. I'm like, it's not even raining on my street. Don't worry about it. So news it always seems to bring out like the worst. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of, you know, shootings and stuff, but I don't know if you've ever had to experience any of that. I doubt it, but I don't know. That's for you, I guess.
I have some experiences with that.
Yeah, you do. Oh, shoot. Okay.
When I was living in Berkeley, I stayed in Oakland. So Oakland is one of the most dangerous cities in the States.
Okay, wow.
About like every week or two, I would hear gunshots.
Oh shoot! Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Because sometimes I didn't know if it was like fireworks or gunshots, but I thought like, there's nothing going on around me. How come there are fireworks? So it must be gunshots.
Why are they celebrating Chinese New Year? It's Wednesday. Yeah.
But like they weren't too close to me, so I could still hear it. So I was like, But gradually, I got used to it because like I stayed there for a year and a half. So
Wow, that's crazy. Just quick story on that. Last time I went to Mexico, this was a while ago. We went to watch a soccer game, and you know, stadiums out there. It's about, you know, finishes 10 p.m. You know, you get outside, you're eating your tacos and stuff like that outside the stadium. And it was the first time I was in Mexico when actually Google Maps existed, right? So, you know, I had my uncle's address in there, and I put it in there, and I just looked at it. And it says walking 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, shoot, you know, I ate too much, right? And I live in Taiwan. Everything's super safe. So I'm thinking, you know, I told my uncle, me and my wife, we're just going to walk, you know, because I show him the thing. I'm like, yeah, it's only 15 minutes, you know. And he looks at me. He's like, it's like almost midnight. You're not walking, you know, it's Mexico. The hell's wrong with you, you know? And I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot. I'm in Mexico, not in Taiwan, right? Here you can like take a nap at 3 a.m. in the park, you know, covered in gold, and no one's going to bug you. It's crazy, right? So you get used to that stuff. You get used to that. It's crazy. Oh man, so I'm gonna do some rapid fire here, brother. Just some fun stuff. Let's see what happens. Yeah. So
Yep.
I'm gonna go just quick answers. Yeah. Hong Kong breakfast or American breakfast?
Hong Kong breakfast.
Oh, nice. So would you rather have dim sum in Hong Kong or tacos in LA?
Tacos in LA.
Oh, wow, I was wrong on that one. Okay. No beans though.
Especially
Hold the beans. Yeah, the taco truck, tacos al pastor, right? Oh man, I did go to Hong Kong recently though. I love the food there as well. If you could only eat one food for a week, and you had the choices of wontons, Hong Kong style wontons, or burgers, what would you do?
Burgers, because I don't like shrimp. So
You don't like shrimp? Ah, gotcha. Okay. So, night market vibes in Hong Kong or LA food truck vibes? These are tough ones.
I'll say LA. No, Hong Kong night markets. Yeah. I mean, Hong Kong don't really have night markets, but they do have like places where a lot of vendors get together. But I'll say like that too. Like definitely the Hong Kong night market. Yeah.
Yeah, when we went there, like Taipei has lots of night markets, but like when we went to Hong Kong, it's just so populated that you go into like an alley and it's just like all these vendors and stuff, and you're just like, oh, I want that. And in Hong Kong, oh, the food's so good, I love it. Yeah, man. So what about the work culture? Hong Kong work culture versus USA work culture?
Definitely the US work culture is way different because I had experiences working in Hong Kong before.
Okay.
Here, and I'll say definitely the US. Yeah.
All right. Cool. One last one: driving in LA or the MTR in Hong Kong?
That's a tough one, man.
Tough one.
Driving, honestly.
Yeah, you have a car. I guess you must, right, to live out there. Yeah.
I mean, I hate traffic, but there's just something about driving that the feeling about driving that other stuff that don't get you. It's like, a lot of times when you're down, when you're sad, when you're it's like you just go for a drive, roll down your windows like midnight vibe with your music on.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but I do miss MTR, so it's a tough choice, but I have to go.
Nice, dude. So like one more thing. What about like the music? Like the Western music, Eastern music? What kind of music do you like? American music.
Yeah, I don't really listen to Western music. I only listen to Chinese music. Like I still listen to Jay Chou, Eason Chen. Yeah.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah. That's funny because same thing for me out here. People will ask me about a lot of the Western music that's happening now, right? Mm-hmm. And I have no idea. Like I still listen to like 80s and 90s music. That's what I listen to. That's what I grew up listening to. So yeah, anything close to like 2000s and beyond, I have no clue. So people ask me about that and they're like, what the hell? You're an old man, dude. I'm like, I don't know. It's what I like. And then I sound like an old man when I say, the new music sucks. It's funny. Man, but yeah, brother, that flew by. I had a great time. I knew this was going to be a good one. Do you have anything that you want to add? Do you have anything you want to ask me? If you're ever out in Taiwan, brother, come and visit. And if I'm in LA, I'll go see you too.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me here, man.
Yeah, brother. Do you have anything you want to say before we call it? My pleasure. My pleasure.
I'll say to anyone out there that's living abroad or you're struggling with something right now, just believe in yourself, believe in the process. It'll always work out. And it's tough. I know it's tough, and no one has to figure it out. No one knows it, but just trust yourself. Yeah.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate that, man. Wise words from a 24-year-old Wingo Lam, man. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. I see we got quite a few people watching. I'll get this all clipped up and stuff, and I'll send you all the files and stuff, brother. Appreciate it, man. Also, in the description below, I have your Instagram. So people are watching this. I want to see what you're doing. I want to check out those videos that you made that we were talking about. Description below, it's got the link for Wingo's Instagram. Man, my pleasure. Thank you so much
for having me here. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, brother. Thank you guys for watching the podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.